What's up, everyone? My name's Chris Marshall with my boy, Frank G. We are the hosts of Build Your Empire podcast. Frank G, tell the people what we do.
What's going on, everybody? Chris and I, we discuss established empires while showcasing us building ours.
Frank G, I am excited. You know, we have plenty of guests come on, and we have one in particular today who I'm just ecstatic to learn more about her business, her entrepreneurship. She was a recipient of the Barstool Fund, so she was fortunate there. Bethany Lyons, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. I am great. I'm really excited to be here, and I am very excited to be a part of the Barstool Fund movement and program.
I bet.
I could imagine.
Before we even get to that, let's, take a step back and who are you? Give us a little bit about you and your origin story.
So I am the owner and CEO of Lyons Den Power Yoga, which started in 2013. I had been in group fitness and dance and yoga in the city for many, many years. I'm one of the original SoulCycle instructors. I was there for 11 years. I was the group fitness manager for Crunch in the city, ran a bunch of the clubs, and then finally started my own thing in 2013 in a building in Tribeca. It's actually called the Burlesque Building. There was literally a brothel in the place that we took over to start a studio.
It's always some crazy story.
Yeah, it was. I went to look at the building and it was so dilapidated. There had apparently been some themed floors or something. I'm not really sure, but the building had a very very colored past, we'll say. So we took it over.
Bethany, you're located in Tribeca. You're a gritty New Yorker, as are we, and our audience knows that. Are you from here?
I'm not from here. Well, first, let me say I'm in Tribeca and I'm in Chelsea. So those are two
locations.
Yeah, and that's where I live in Chelsea. But I'm not an original New Yorker, but I've been here for 20 years. And that list of all the things that had to have happened to you to call yourself a New Yorker have happened to me times 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're certainly a New Yorker. I could hear that.
I heard it a little bit in the voice right there. Yep.
Now, Bethany, to take that leap in 2013 to even start your own yoga studio, especially in the city, I mean, was that nerve-wracking? What did you do prior to that? How did this come about?
So I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, and really all my jobs had been sort of weird in some way, shape, or form, or kind of tailored. So I worked at a startup, but they let me teach on the side. I was a full-time instructor at one point, so I made my own schedule and kind of figured it out. When I worked for Crunch in the city, we had one corporate meeting a week and that was it. And otherwise I made my own schedule. So I always worked really hard, but I didn't like to be boxed in to like a 9 to 5, except here it's like 6:30 to 10 o'clock at night or whatever.
Yeah, it's 24/7,
right? So I wanted to have autonomy always. It was more important to me than money. And I'm happy to have money, but autonomy was.
We get it.
Like freedom.
We try and chase passion. And of course, freedom.
Absolutely. That's what this is all about, right? Doing your own thing, working on your own time.
So it just, the style of yoga that we teach is Baptiste Power Vinyasa Yoga. There wasn't a studio dedicated to it. I couldn't find a studio in the city that I really felt at home in. I kind of felt like an outsider within the yoga world because I don't know, I wasn't your classic stereotypical, particularly at the time, yoga person. And whatever that means. I mean, like now yoga is so broad. I think at the time it was like a little bit
trendy. I want to say a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, it was a little more niche. And I think it was, I was much more like in the realm of power yoga and wanting to have it be a spiritual practice, but also wanting it to be a workout. I wanted dudes there. I wanted all ages. I wanted all types of people. I didn't want it to be like just this one kind of person. And, just wanted it to be a place where really people felt at home. So anyway, when I opened, I figured out how many mats I needed a day. And really with what had been worked out with rent, since this was this like really dilapidated building. I'm like, if I can't do this, the amount of mats that I had needed to do a day, then I don't deserve to have the business. So it was kind of
that
like
put
a
a lot of
no-brainer.
pressure on you then right off the bat.
Yeah, like I like to figure out my worst case scenario. So I was taking out money on my apartment. So worst case scenario, then I guess I don't have my apartment and I start over.
That's what an entrepreneur does. They just take the risk and go out on the win there.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really, that's kind of how it started. And then once it became so successful that we had a line down the hallway, down the staircase, we were checking people in on an iPad. It looked like a club. It was crazy. We had one tiny locker room. We had this like shower room for men. It was nuts. Our front desk, my dad designed, and it was built. It was like this little tiny, you'd like almost crawl behind it to get there. It was just wild. And then we were able to take over another floor, and then took on another studio, which was Chelsea.
So you were growing, you were scaling.
Oh yeah, I mean, that had already happened. So doubled the size in Tribeca. So basically double the rent, double the floors. So second and third floor, then restructured both those floors. I mean, spent $500,000 doing that. Then Chelsea opened that, had to restructure that whole thing. I mean, opening a place in the city is a big deal. Had to get.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm like, I got to reach out. I got to have you come on the show, because I mean, to have a place in Tribeca, especially now, it's even more interesting, especially how you pivoted.
Well, thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, I was like poised to go for number 3. I'd been looking at spaces. I wanted to open in a different area of the city, maybe open in Brooklyn. Like I was looking all over the place. And then we had a fire happen in Tribeca above our studio on February 15th. And then we had to shut down for the pandemic on the 16th. So it was a pretty crazy ride the beginning of last year.
Terrible 2020 you had, but it ended great.
Yeah, like I won't say it was a terrible 2020. It was a wild ride. And I mean, for our business, obviously it was horrible. And it also, like I had a lot of really good stuff come out of that year.
So what opportunities came from all this then?
Well, it forced my hand to do something else. So in the middle of the we thought we were closing for 2 weeks. Then we thought it was going to be over the summer, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, I've always wanted to do online stuff. I have a background in that. I was like the spokesperson for Crunch. I was in a bunch of like, I'm really going to date myself here a little bit, but I was in a bunch of DVDs. Like I was like the number 1 yoga DVD for a number of years for Crunch. And I mean,
so you've been in the game, and you knew how to kind of work the digital scene.
Yeah, well, I won't say the digital scene, but I knew how to work the camera.
That makes sense.
I knew how to be on camera.
Okay.
That's why you're doing so well right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're extremely comfortable.
Yeah, I knew how to walk and talk and chew gum on camera. I used to do all the PR for a lot of the PR segments for Crunch. So a lot of them were live TV segments. I've been on the Today Show. I've been on this, a bunch of that kind of stuff. So that part of it, I'm like, I'm uniquely built for what's happening right now. I just need to figure out what to do with it. So I decided to like start an entirely new business. So first we went to Zoom, right? So we closed down Sunday, last day of classes. Monday, I'm like, we're going live, 5 p.m.
Now, how quick did you make that decision to say, oh shit, let's pivot over to Zoom?
Within like minutes. Because I'm like, yeah, within minutes, because Saturday, like of that weekend, Saturday, I was like, we're staying open. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll fight it. Yeah.
And Sunday morning, I'm like, things seem a little bit different. And then Sunday afternoon, then I had one of the worst phone calls I've ever had to have in my whole life, because we then figured out we were closing, and we're a cash in. I mean, there's not like extra money besides the fact that I have tons of debt and loans. So it was like, we immediately have to lay off almost everyone in order to even like survive.
Which now, I mean, that has to kill a business owner.
I've never had this. I was on a Zoom call with my entire staff and teachers, just like
probably crying.
Yeah.
Just
crying. Like, and I'm like, I promise we're going to be back in 2 weeks. I'm going to, like whatever needs to happen. And then I ended up paying out everyone as much as I could after that. We did like another payroll for a percentage just because I said we have to. Like no one had any notice.
Which just showcases how good you are of a boss and a person.
Well, thank you. It felt like I was letting everyone down.
I mean, you could only control what you could control.
I'm sure these people helped you build the business as well. So of course that's gonna tear apart
I
your
mean,
way.
we're like, we call ourselves Den family. It was a really close knit network. So I went live the next day on Zoom, wanted to figure out how we could make it as professional as possible. So, my our designer, my lead designer and good friend, and one of our teachers, Amanda, she has like lights. So we're like, bring your photo lights over. We immediately got a team in together of people who are just like willing to help us try to figure out the logistics of like the sound, how to get the sound through the system so it sounds better, so it doesn't sound like a normal thing. Anyway, I said, okay, this is what I'm doing. We're going to do one class a day, 5 p.m., happy hour, every single day. And I'm going to teach, like that's how this will start. And then we'll figure it out.
So are you only virtual?
Oh, we haven't had an in-studio class since March 15th.
Are you not allowed to open like regular gyms?
We are not allowed to open.
So what's the difference between you and the gym?
You tell me, Frank. You tell me. I would love to hear.
You just irked her. Because you have a great point.
Yeah, no, I was
This
wondering.
was my whole this was my whole thing, my conversation with Dave on the phone. I'm like, why are regular gyms allowed to open, but group fitness, I can literally tell you to be on a specific rectangle, a specific amount of space away from someone else.
Yeah. Correct. When you come into my store, everyone's 6 feet apart. So yeah, you could certainly do that in your setting.
Why can like big box stores be open with crowds of people, but I can't open? Also, why can I not go have a glass of wine and not also
order something to eat?
And you have to serve food. That's
crazy.
That's the shitty part, I guess, of living in New York, and hopefully that turns around. Bethany, let me ask you this: how was your community throughout all this? Did they stay with you and continue with the digital, or did they kind of fall off?
The community was ridiculously supportive. So what I decided to do is I knew a ton of people were losing their jobs. Everybody was trapped at home. So I said, okay. And then it very quickly went into lockdown mode. So no one else could be with each other, right? So I couldn't even have a team there. So then I was walking to the studio by myself, with Josie, my dog. So we would walk to the studio. And then my studio manager, Zach, my assistant studio manager, Mary Allison, they would work remotely. So they were like setting up everything on Zoom and then, getting everybody ready, answering questions, And I showed up every single day. And I said, we're not charging for this. We're telling people, like, if you keep your memberships with us, that's amazing and going to help us. And then once we launch a real digital platform, you can have it in perpetuity as long as you have a membership.
Makes sense. I mean, you're building up the brand equity even more.
Well, it ended up being that, but that wasn't really a strategy. It was just like, this is what people need. Like, people are trapped. They need
an escape.
They need an outlet. They need, a community. They also need to move their bodies. It's medicine. You have to like breathe and move. If you're not doing that, and it's a very unhealthy place, there's like a lot of stats on it, and a lot of people are struggling, and a lot of people are not okay by themselves. Like, they're not used to being in their own company.
Yeah, there are a lot of mental health issues going on right now.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it ended up really working well, because then we had a lot of people join us that weren't even in New York.
I was just going to ask you that. You see a
reach out.
Yeah, an opportunity.
Nuts. We had between 300 and 400 people in classes.
Wow.
Every day. It was crazy. And then what we did is we said it's free. And then if you want to support at any level, you can. So we had tiers like $3, $5, $15. Some people put $100. And so for months, that's how we operated.
Which, I mean, we have a broad reach across the country. So Lyons Den Digital, Lyon. I was telling Frank before you got on, I'm like, it's pretty badass that she named her business after her last name.
I actually fought it. I was like, I don't want to do that. That's cheesy.
No, it's a badass name.
But it's so good.
Yeah, it works.
It's so
Certainly
good.
works.
It is. It's so good.
And
And it
I
also
mean,
fits what we do. And like, so our practice
You're
is
like a pride.
yeah, totally. We
Yeah.
actually, that's what we call ourselves. Yeah. And also like our practice is very strong and it's very athletic and it's done in the heat. Usually it's pretty intense.
Oh, it's you do hot yoga.
It's
Yeah.
well, I don't want to say just hot yoga because then people think it's like Bikram. It's not that. It's like hot enough so you're going to sweat for sure. But
Okay.
we're moving. And so you have to be like, you gotta kind of be like, you're getting put in the line.
how many hours a day are you doing this, Bethany?
Now,
Yeah, like actively working out, doing yoga.
7 days a week, pretty much.
Okay.
So I signed a contract. We started with Zoom, but then I did research and then I signed a contract with Vimeo and to launch a whole new business because this is a whole different animal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's completely, but again, it's an opportunity, right? So, I mean, when everything hopefully does open up, you may have two
businesses,
revenue, two businesses, two revenue
that
streams.
is the hope and prayer. At the time when I did it, I thought this would be like a stopgap, and then this would be like not a side hustle, but like another business that would be another revenue stream, right? Then all of a sudden it became, this is the only revenue stream in the middle of this. And trying to build it out. So we're on like Roku, we're on iOS, iPhone, we're on Android for Lyons Den Digital now and have a really robust library of classes. Then we did like full shoots. I mean, I'm a total psycho about this. We've been working crazy.
I see you working. You're constantly working. But again, what I'm most impressed is when this whole pandemic occurred, I saw a lot of like personal trainers who had classes who couldn't do it no more, who just gave up on their business. And I was like, why don't you pivot and go to digital? And they were just like, I don't want to put in the work. And here you are putting in twice the work.
Well, it's not just me.
And your team.
and it's also like there's a community of people. I mean, we have babies that were born because of the studio, because people met at the studio. We have friendships and roommates and lifelong things. I mean, so much came out of this studio, and so to just be like, bye, peace out, I'm out,
it's like a disservice to the community.
Yeah, that's not who I am. And also for, my staff, my core staff, like I will go to the mattresses for them, like I just never in a million years.
So now when you started seeing the downfall and you're figuring out that there may not be a solution here and the worst case scenario may be coming, and you threw out that video for a Hail Mary, what was on your mind? I think the next day after Christmas, correct?
Yeah. So, Barstool's hilarious.
They are.
They're just funny. And, and Dave Portnoy, I'd seen some of his rants about what was happening to businesses. And he did one in particular in early December. I think it was like December 10th or 11th. That was about, again, them re-shutting down restaurants, indoor dining, and like having to close at 10 and gyms having to close at 10.
Yeah.
10, like also de Blasio and Cuomo, they haven't even acknowledged like all the studios. There's 5,000 studios or something that have closed in the city. It's some astronomical number. They haven't even mentioned it. Like we don't even exist. So it's more the arbitrary. So anyway, he did this whole talk and I had reposted it and stuff. And I don't tend to get too
political.
All that stuff, because I really want to be a safe space and a place for everyone. I mean, that's really what I want to be. I am, that's just what I want to be. And this is what I put my attention on. And I also don't like to get on like stupid online platform fights with people. And it's just
the worst.
I tell you, when you got on the platform though, you sure left a mark.
Well, thank you. I just, yeah, you know, yeah, I got bigger fish to fry than that kind of stuff. But what he said was exactly the way I felt. So I put it out there and then started following that he had done some of this stuff. And actually my ex-husband said, you know, like, I'm going to write it. I should write in an email about the business, about what's happening. And I'm like, okay. Like I had just seen it too. He texted me and I was like, do it. That's great. They emailed us back. They emailed me back at 2:30 in the morning on like Christmas night, like 26th that morning.
They were quick with it.
Yeah, they're apparently real quick with it.
Moving. And so when it came in, it was like, do this video immediately. So I was just like, it's like in my pajamas. I'm in my parents' house in Pennsylvania. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to tell it how it is.
Hail Mary, lay it up. Nothing.
And this is what's happening. And I'm like, there's no way. I mean, there's no way we're getting this, but it's worth a shot in the dark. You know?
They picked you with the email or they picked you from the video?
So what you did is you sent in, I don't know what they're doing now, but it was originally, I think you sent in an email with what you needed. So you stipulated like, I need this for rent. I mean, I've already exhausted everything. And
yeah.
You know,
did you go the PPP route, Bethany?
Yep. Did the full thing.
You did?
Exhausted the entire thing. Yep. Have EIDL loans for both studios.
Okay.
And wasn't there an requirement to have your employees still being paid?
Yeah, that's the PPP.
Yeah. For both. I mean,
now, Bethany, I'm one of those New York guys who gives those high percentage loans at like 30% for 12 months. Have you ever done one of those?
Mm-mm.
Okay, good. I suggest you don't.
I'm not going for that.
Yeah, no, don't go that route. So you made this video. You're like, all right, let me go for it. They actually contact you. They pick you. You get this phone call. What the hell goes on in your mind when you see Dave Portnoy on your phone?
I was just like, is this first? It felt like surreal.
Of course.
Like you were dreaming, yeah.
Yeah, just very surreal. And I was on this little back road. I was actually driving back into the city, and I'm in my car, which is manual. I'm on this back road. There's cars in front and cars behind. I couldn't even pull over originally. So I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then it was just joy, like so much joy, because it was time for some good news. Like it's just been nothing but bad news and bad news and bad news. It might, you know, across the board for so many people. This is like, I hope that we're like an inspiration and a beacon for people to keep going, because I know that I represent, like just us getting this, it represents so many other people who didn't get this too.
Which is why we wanted to hear from you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get that. I get that there's so many deserving small businesses. I mean, when I made the video, I was very passionate about our business and how well it worked prior to this, and that we would work so hard as soon as we were allowed to work, but we were being told we're just, there's no path. They're not giving us any pathway to work. And so
you can't do anything. I
mean,
and
they
left you out to dry.
Frustrating. Yeah, it's the most frustrating.
And so it's incredible that I mean, Barstool Sports was the savior here.
Yeah, that is absolutely crazy.
It is
not the government.
It is, but it's really like awesome, and actually, I feel like it's on brand for just.
Yeah,
it does make sense.
It's on brand for what they're about and what they, you know, like they appreciate that kind of drive. They appreciate that I was real about it.
Yeah, they started up their business. So yeah, they see how hard you work.
He's a scrappy startup guy, you know? So like to hear from and you know, when you're talking to another scrappy startup person.
Yeah.
You know, when somebody is like dabbling in it, or they, whatever, you know, when people are putting their like life and their livelihood and their like passion on the line.
Well, it's amazing how many people who probably didn't submit a video just because they didn't believe, but you took the length and you did the video.
Yeah, I'm always here for a miracle. You know, I'm always, I really am. Like, I'll always try to find a way. And I mean, even this whole time I was just like, well, something's going to happen and we'll make it. We have
You ever thought about maybe going to Atlantic City playing blackjack to get your money?
absolutely not.
All right.
No, but I do, running a business and even doing this, it's a gamble. All of this is a gamble.
100%.
It's a huge gamble, but it's so worth it.
More rewarding gamble than blackjack.
Yeah, very much
That's
so.
for sure.
I don't know.
Not chance,
if you win 60 grand at a table, it's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, that would be pretty dope, I have to say.
See, Bethany knows.
But the like, it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of gamble. It's not by chance. It's from hard work.
You put yourself there. Absolutely.
It's passion. I mean, you built a community now and a brand that's now you, and you can control the message and create a bigger impact than just simply owning a business for cash flow.
Yeah, and the kind of community needs you, especially in a time where no one's working out and working their body, their minds.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, if all I wanted to do was make money, I wouldn't have owned a yoga studio. That wouldn't have been my
You're funny.
Would have gone into finance, called it a day.
Now, Bethany, I'm seeing you comment all over the Barstool fund, and you're pretty active. But I tell you, I love how you put your little lion emoji on your comments. That's like your little trademark.
Little signature right there.
Wow. Yeah. If you're gonna have an emoji for me, I'm going to use it.
That's too funny.
We got to get our own emoji now.
Bethany, for our audiences, is there anything or any way they can donate, or where can they go to kind of see you and enter your classes?
Maybe there's a free trial.
So we're going to take the word donate out, because we're not, that's not what it is. But in order to support us, what you can do is
I love that you changed my word, by the way, because that makes sense. Actually, you know what? Screw the donation, but please support us. Yeah, support us. And how to support us is by checking out our partner platform, this Lyons Den Digital, for sure. Again, LYON. Yeah, LY. And there's a 2-week free trial on it. You're not gonna. You got nothing to lose. And we've got live class. Well, you may lose some pounds, right? Yeah, you may lose some pounds. You may lose some stress. You may lose some anxiety. You may. I tell you, Frank, we may have to check this out.
I was going to ask you, me and Chris, we work out at least 5 days a week. What are we missing out not having done yoga? I've never done yoga.
I always thought about it, but it's just.
There's a breath, mind, body sort of present connection that can really be missing, that can actually make your workouts better. Really?
So it's like it connects your mind and your body.
Yeah, and breathing with the movement of your body. We sort of work a lot of different muscles, but the muscle of mindfulness, of being present. Mm-hmm. I'm here with you right now. I have nowhere else to be. My mind isn't anywhere else. I'm just here, And the same when we're on the mat, it's something that we actually practice in both meditation and in asana or yoga postures. The physical practice is really about how you deal with yourself. And when you get into a challenging pose, what do you say to yourself? How can you flip that script? When you start swearing to your she's holding us in this freaking chair pose again. And,
if you are in a challenging pose, how long do you typically hold it for?
I mean, I've been known to hold some things for a few minutes at times.
Oh yeah, I'm cursing. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, totally. Or we're really moving, and it's what is this lady on? What did she do today? How many? But that it's meant to actually sort of poke, kind of, you know what I mean? It's meant to actually sort of ruffle your feathers. So can you stay calm? Keep drishti, which is focus. Mm-hmm. Keep the breath work going.
Oh yeah, test you
in the midst of all this crazy movement and being wrapped up like a pretzel.
Bethany, have you ever gone to some retreat, maybe overseas, to kind of learn more about this practice?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've done over 1,000 hours worth of trainings. I've done week-longs and transformational work and all of that stuff. And I'm not a very woo-woo person. I don't know if comes across. I'm just not. And so that's why I wasn't like the traditional sort of yoga girl, I don't think. And this practice works like tangibly.
So you believe in it. That's absolutely.
Yeah. Like I originally entered a yoga class because I was a professional dancer and ballet, not tassels. And that nothing's wrong with tassels, just that wasn't my stance. And just, I was in a ballet company. And I had a rehearsal that was canceled. So I ended up in a yoga class and it kicked my ass in a totally different way. And at the time I was dancing like 40 hours a week. So I'm like, this is awesome. This is going to be great cross training. I'm going to get sicker abs. Boom, fun. And then a couple months in, and I didn't go in for any sort of spiritual change or like a life transformation, nothing. But a few months in, all of a sudden I'd be like getting these waves of emotion and like crying in certain places. And it was really, I'm like a case study in itself in that it worked and I didn't go there for that. So I love it when people come to the studio. That's why I like to invite in all types of people. Like, you don't believe in this or you think this is stupid? Fine. Why don't you come to class? I used
probably
to
kick their ass.
Yeah. I used to train some like wrestling groups, some baseball teams, with, and I would walk in and all these dudes would
Makes
just
sense. I mean,
rolling their eyes.
To be flexible.
Yeah. They'd just be rolling their eyes and I'd be like, just wait 5 minutes.
Yeah. Give me 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're going to see how you feel about this yoga being like so dumb.
Bethany, I can't thank you enough for again carving out time for us. We're going to end the show here, but do you have any last message, anything to say here?
Don't get through this time. Get into it. Life is happening right now. And if we wait for all the bad things that are happening to stop happening, to like have moments of joy and have moments of awesomeness and have miracles happen, then we're missing out on life. And
you're a prime example
absolutely
of wins, losses, downs and ups. And it was a great conversation. Again, Bethany Lyons, Lyons Den Digital, that's Lyon. Frank G, you have a closing?
I mean, and
I hope the studio opens soon too. So
we'll be there. I was gonna, I work on 36th Street.
I gotta visit.
Oh my God. I'm gonna hold you to this.
Oh,
when we open, you're getting an invite to come to class.
I promise we will be there. We always try and, of course, stay in touch with all our guests. I mean, we've had crazy people from TED speakers to multi-platinum producers come on the show, and we keep in touch with all of them. We appreciate every one of them.
Yeah, and just from what you've said, to be honest, I think yoga would be quite interesting for me. I love working out and kind of pushing the limit.
We get a lot of CrossFit people.
I'm not flexible either, so it might take some time.
You don't have to be flexible. You just got to be flexible up top.
Worst case scenario, Bethany, because I know Frank is gonna really enjoy it. Could I bring like an entree and just eat in the back and watch?
Oh, you're gonna be like the Barstool boys, huh?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense actually. But Bethany, again, we thank you so much. We wish you nothing but, of course, success. And we're gonna be with you through your journey as well. And again, just thank you.
Back at you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. And Bethany, thank you.